fuck are you doing? Dude, I'm sorry, I told you. It's not your review yet. I'll get to you eventually, okay? I promise, I will get to you. But right now, what the fuck do you think you're gonna do, huh? What? What are you gonna do with that? You're a fucking severed head. You have no arms or legs. What are you gonna do to me? In fact, how the fuck did you even get that knife over there?
That's better. You know, I'm getting tired of that fucking head. Every time I come in here, it's bugging the crap out of me. When's it my turn? Where's my reviews? What's going on with Halloween? Well, you're taking all your time on this burned motherfucker named Freddy. Fuck him. I'm the big dog. Where's my reviews? And I keep telling him he'll get his turn, and he won't stop. I don't know how the hell he got over there with that knife. He's always waiting on me like that. Usually he's pretty cool, but today, he's just being a dick. I mean, did you see that? He had a fucking knife. He was going to try and kill me. I don't know what he was planning on doing with it, like hold the handle in his teeth and like, you know, wiggle at me until I get stabbed. Well, guys, we are finally there. We are finally on our last entry in the Nightmare on Elm Street series. Today, we are doing the 2010 A Nightmare on Elm Street remake. This film was directed by Samuel Bayer. It stars Jackie Earle Haley as Freddy Krueger. Unfortunately, Robert Englund is no longer with the series, and as I said in my last one, it breaks my heart. Jackie Earle Haley comes to the series and tries to fill his shoes as Freddy Krueger. This film also stars Rooney Mara as Nancy Holbrook. Yes, you heard me right, Holbrook. They changed Nancy's last name. Why? I don't know. They changed a lot of the names of the characters. Why? I don't know. You know, I usually like it when remakes try to do a little bit different and not just go shot for shot. I hate it when they go shot for shot. But in the case of this film, I wish they would have stuck a little more to some of the true story and some of the things that Wes Craven put into it. That's just me and my opinion, though. Y'all can think whatever you want. So, let me give you a little bit of plot synopsis here. There's a few differences between this one and the original. Fred Krueger is no longer a child killer. In fact, he is now a child molester, which, yes, I know Wes Craven did intend back when he originally wrote the originals, but he was going to be a molester and a killer. In this particular film, he is just a child molester who is killed by the parents of the children he molested without ever going to trial. After his death, he comes back about 12 years later to haunt these children in their dreams. And as they dream, they die. And when they die in their dreams, they die in real life. I'm going to get right into some pros and cons. And I'm going to start with the pros because there's honestly not a lot of them. This is not a good movie. It is not a good remake. It's done by Platinum Dunes, which I personally enjoyed what they did with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I also enjoyed a lot what they did with Friday the 13th, which I'll be getting into that in a future review coming very soon. As I said, this is a Platinum Dunes film. It's also done by New Line Cinema, who owns the rights to Freddy Krueger, and Platinum Dunes thought they could duplicate their success with the first two remakes they did. Unfortunately, that really didn't happen in this. It did do well in the box office, but it received very negative reviews, not just from the critics, but from the fans. This was a movie the fans went and saw once, decided we didn't like it, we didn't go back. As I said, I'm going to go with the pros first. There are a couple pros in this film. One of the pros is Jackie Earle Haley's physical acting. Jackie Earle Haley does a good job as Freddy Krueger physically. His lines, his delivery of his lines, his voice, I'm not too into, honestly. But some of the stuff he does, especially with his hands, like the claw hand to be exact, is absolutely amazing. The little scissors thing he does that it just brings out, and they use a great sound effect there. It's really cool. I really enjoy that. I also really enjoy a lot of the motions he does, and when he flicks his fingers or he, jabs out or whatever, just stuff he does with his hands. It's really cool. I really enjoy that. And I probably would be even more into the rest of his performance if I wasn't such a huge Robert Englund fan. And it's very hard for me to picture anybody but Robert Englund and that iconic voice that he does, the, everything that he brought to that role, the mannerisms, the movement, everything that Robert Englund did. It's hard for me to go through a movie without that in there. You're painfully aware that even though Jackie Earle Haley does a good job, you're painfully aware that Robert's gone. And it's just a very sad realization to come to, especially when you're trying to watch a movie and you want the movie to be good. I did. I wanted this movie to be so good, and unfortunately it just wasn't. When I first saw it in theaters, I even told myself, it wasn't bad. It was pretty good. But in the back of my mind, and when I talked about it with my friend that I went with, just more and more things about the film started to really bother me. And there was two things about this film that I just really couldn't put my finger on that were really bothering me. But I finally did figure out what it was. And I'm going to get into that in a second. Let me first just talk about real quick the second pro in this film. And the second pro in this film for me is some of the kills. I really watch, check this out. I'm sorry, here it is. See how he does that with the hand? That's just so cool. And yes, I know I left this up and I left this running on purpose. And yes, it's on mute. But I don't know why I left it running. I just wanted it to be running. I thought this would be a different idea, kind of a different take. Plus, I'm giving you a different view than what I've usually given you. I don't know if you've really seen this part of my area very much before. So I decided just to do it right here next to the television. And that way, I don't know. I actually have no idea why I have it running. I just thought it'd be a cool idea. So, anyways, there's that. But the second pro, like I said, is some of the kills. I love when he kills Jesse, and you don't see anything but his hands shoot through Jesse's back, out through his chest. The claws are extended. I'm sorry, I'm left-handed, but it's his right hand, of course. And it just looked amazing to me. I also really like the last kill in the film at the very end when he takes her mother and he goes to the back of her head and the knives come out her eyes. That was cool looking, even though it is a CGI effect. Those are the only two CGI effects I really liked in this. And that's going to lead me right into the cons. Starting off my cons is the CGI effects of this film. This entire film is a CGI fest. Every effect, I don't know if there's a practical effect in this entire movie. Everything is CGI, and it is done so badly. With the exception of those two kills I just talked about that I like, it is not done well. The death scene where Chris or Christina is dying, and they're trying to emulate how Tina died in the original. The way they did that with the practical effects in the revolving room was amazing. In this, it's all pure CGI, and she's getting bounced around, and it looks like somebody's playing pinball with her. It looks like somebody's playing pinball with her, and it just doesn't work. And then she gets slashed, and just like Tina, but the slashes are huge. It goes all the way down her body, and it just did not look as good or as convincing as it did in the original. Sorry about the dogs, guys. I have the window open, and they're loud. I apologize. Another con I have with this film is the story and the way it's executed. First off, they show Freddy way too early. They show him within the first 5 minutes of the film. At the very beginning, he gets a kill in, which I usually don't mind if it's a sequel or something like that, but this was the original film, supposedly, a remake of the original. And you're just introducing this character. His introduction should not have been that abrupt. It totally desensitized, if that is the proper word, the rest of the movie for me. There was no scare to this movie whatsoever. They tried to throw in a bunch of cheap jump scares. It didn't work. And I'm just kind of bored throughout the whole film, honestly. Even as I was watching it just a few minutes ago, and yes, I'm playing it over again. I did watch the film all the way through before I started recording. I was sitting there just kind of looking around, looking at everything else in my room, looking at my phone. It was just getting very boring and very dull, and I just was not into it. Another con. All of the characters, secondary characters, even Nancy herself, they are boring. God, they're boring. And they're not even boring in a way that it gives me satisfaction to watch them die. When they die, I just don't care. I'm just like, whatever. Bye. This movie was just so monotone. It had none of the highs and lows that the original had. And when I say lows, I don't mean bad. I'm talking about the rise and the drop in the drama and the things that pull you in and suck you into a film. This movie had none of that. It was very much just a cheap copy. Another huge con for me was the look of Freddy Krueger. I didn't like the way he looked, honestly. I know they were trying to go more realistic, but what they did is they actually didn't use practical makeup and effects on him. They used CGI. Most of his face is CGI, and it's painfully obvious. And it makes it really dampers Jackie's performance, in my opinion. It really puts a damper on it because you can tell that it's not matching up just right. It's just a little off. So it's definitely noticeable, and that really bothers me. Getting into what I consider my biggest cons, and those two things that I couldn't put my finger on back when I first watched the movie. And it took me a couple times of watching it to figure out what it was that I couldn't put my finger on that was so bothering me. Let me just say this. I do not like the fact that they changed Freddy from a child killer to a child molester. Yes, I am a huge Freddy fan, so I know the backstory to the original Nightmare on Elm Street. I know what Wes Craven originally intended. And that is why, if you really watch those movies, Freddy is pretty perverted. And you can kind of base some assumptions that he probably did have some sexual things with the kids before he killed them. So it's not too far of a stretch of the imagination to see that. But changing Freddy from a child killer to a child molester presented two of the biggest plot holes in this film. And it's the things I couldn't put my finger on. And number one is Freddy's glove. Now, please follow me here. Why is there a glove in this film? Why does Freddy even have a glove? According to the story of this movie, Freddy is haunting the dreams of the children he molested, did not kill, molested, that all survived his molestations. Okay? He did not kill a single one of them. He did not hurt a single one of them in a non-sexual sense, if you know what I'm saying. There is no point to the glove. As much as I love the glove, of course, there's no point to it. The glove, the only reason it's in this film is because this is a Freddy Krueger movie and it's expected to be there. But if you look at it from the confines of this story, there is no reason for it at all. There's not. There's no reason for the glove. So that is that is the biggest thing that I couldn't put my finger on for a couple times watching this film that really bothered me. And then I figured out what it was, and that's what it is. And there's also a second one. The boiler room. In the dream sequences, Freddy takes the kids to a boiler room. Why? When he was molesting them as children, he took them to a secret cave in the elementary school or in the little preschool where they went to. There was no boiler room. It wasn't a boiler room that he went into. It was just a small little hole in the wall secret room that he took the kids into. When Freddy was killed by the parents in this film, it was not in a boiler room as it was in the original. In the original, he took the children that he killed to a boiler room. That's where he did his killing. That's why the boiler room shows up in their dreams. In this film, the boiler room is pointless. Freddy gets killed in an electrical room in this movie, not a boiler room. Two very different things, in my opinion, and they look very different. Why is there a boiler room in this film? Once again, it's because it's a Nightmare on Elm Street, it's a Freddy Krueger movie, and people expect it to be in a boiler room. Yes, I can tell you right now that I'm getting a little irritated, and that is why. Stupid mistakes like that irritate the crap out of me. You see what I'm saying about these inconsistencies and these mistakes that filmmakers make? I don't mind a mistake or two. I can forgive a mistake or two. Mistakes are human. These kind of mistakes, putting things in a film just because we expect them to be there, even though they make no logical sense to the plot or the story, bug the fuck out of me. Absolutely bugs me. Another thing that really bothers me with this is, yes, they wanted no camp in this film, and I can respect that. But the original didn't have camp in it. New Nightmare really didn't have camp in it. They took out all of Freddy's good lines. Jackie Earle Haley has no good lines in this film at all. There's nothing. Okay, there's a lot of great lines in the Freddy series, and I always end my videos on this series with my favorite line of the movie. And I can't do that for you right now. Not only does Jackie Earle Haley not have any good lines, they actually stole one of the best lines from another Freddy movie, and it's not even a Freddy line. In the end of this movie, Nancy slices Freddy's throat with a machete. Eerily reminiscent of Monica Keene cutting off Freddy's head at the end of Freddy vs. Jason. And she even says the exact same line. "Welcome to my world, bitch." And it was not delivered near as well as it was in Freddy vs. Jason. She totally butchered the line, even though it's, what, 6 words? 5 words. I'm sorry, it's 5 words. She butchered it. It was terrible. I can't believe it. I'm sorry, guys. This movie is absolute dog crap. Don't see it if you haven't already. It's totally a waste of 2 hours. Almost 2 hours. Whatever. It's time of your life you're never getting back. If you have seen it and you like this movie, I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. You guys have your own opinions. That's great. I personally can't stand this film. About the only really good thing I can say about this movie is it's not as bad as the Halloween remake. And that's where I'm going to end, guys. Peace.